7 months after Hurricane Maria slammed into Puerto Rico, the island was still experiencing widespread blackouts. With an aging and woefully maintained power grid in disarray and a federal response that's proved lackluster, the struggles facing Puerto Ricans as they attempt to rebuild their lives are immense. A new Frontline documentary titled Blackout in Puerto Rico reveals that Maria is a story about two disasters, one natural and one man-made. And it examines how the government, Wall Street, and years of neglect have left the island in a state of near chaos. Here's a preview.
Once you went inland, it looked like a bomb hit Puerto Rico.
The hurricane ravaged the island. A decade earlier, a financial storm devastated its economy.
Who gets left paying the bill?
Banks get out and everybody else gets stuck with the bill.
Frontline and NPR investigate.
Almost all the warehouses were empty. Generators, blue material were just not there.
Blackout in Puerto Rico.
NPR and Frontline correspondent Laura Sullivan, who headed the investigation on the blackout in Puerto Rico, joins us now. Laura, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Laura, more than half a year after Maria slammed into Puerto Rico, we're still seeing island-wide blackouts. Given the slow response and how difficult people there still have it, how would you characterize the state of mind of Puerto Ricans, especially since the next hurricane season is just around the corner?
What was so interesting was when we started off down there, I mean, people were they had so much patience. People were really wanting to take care of the problems themselves. They were ready to get in there and solve the problems. And I think what we saw in the 7 months that we spent continuing to go down and visit was that people were really getting fed up at this point. I mean, the past few months, especially as they're learning more and more about how the government has failed in their efforts in Puerto Rico compared to Florida, compared to Houston, they're getting really frustrated, and the unfairness of it is really, especially as the time goes on.
So it's despair plus anger now.
Exactly. It's getting worse.
So, you arrived in Puerto Rico shortly after covering the response to Hurricanes Harvey in Texas and Irma in Florida. What struck you most powerfully in the first few days that you spent in Puerto Rico after Maria?
I think what you saw immediately was the difference in the federal response. I mean, the response in Florida and in Houston was really sort of on the ball. They had, 3 times as many supplies in some cases. They had far more personnel on the ground. They had programs that were ready to respond. And when we got to Puerto Rico, they were still doing emergency relief supplies a month after the hurricane, at a time when a month after the hurricane in Texas and in Florida, they were already moving on to rebuilding and recovering. And they were still delivering food and water when we arrived to Puerto Rico. It was just a very disparate response to the two different places. And that went far beyond some of the excuses and explanations that we heard from federal officials, that this was the third hurricane. We just didn't have, as much wherewithal to attack a third hurricane, but this was more than that.
What was it exactly?
So we looked into this situation, and we ended up getting a trove of internal documents from FEMA and from email correspondence from top government officials. And what they show is really an agency in chaos. I mean, this is an agency that was struggling with its basic contracts, with its key supplies, and its own staff. One of the documents that we got showed that a quarter of FEMA's workforce, by FEMA's own definition, was quote unquote unqualified for the work that they were doing in Puerto Rico.
As I said in the introduction, you discovered that the disaster in Maria was twofold. It was natural and it was man-made. I know it's a complex story, but I wonder if you can summarize for us the man-made aspect of the disaster, the one that took you to Wall Street.
I think that what has often been missing about this story in Puerto Rico is the disaster that happened before, the storm before the storm. And in this case, we had a decade of Wall Street dealing with the nation's largest banks that made these banks millions of dollars as the island teetered on the edge of financial ruin. And at that point, when the storm hit, the island was in no position to prepare for or recover from a storm. And what we also learned is that while the banks made millions and millions of dollars in these deals, while Puerto Rico was trying to figure out its financial situation and get a hold of its debt problem, the banks figured out a way at the very end to also use one of the last bond deals to get themselves out. So the banks never really lost very much in Puerto Rico, while the people of Puerto Rico lost a lot.
Yeah, and the government was essentially bankrupt. Is that the reason why the woeful state of the government, was that the reason for the woeful state of the electricity grid?
That's what most people on the island told us, that there were no repairs to the grid. There was no upkeep of the poles. There was no ability to invest in the infrastructure of the grid or the water pumping systems or the roads or the bridges, all of which got hit, in a huge way by the storm. And so much of that was because there was no money. There was so much money going to debt payments, and there was not a lot of money going to things that could have helped the island prepare for a storm.
All right, Laura. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to watch the documentary.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Frontline's Blackout in Puerto Rico premieres on PBS on May 1st at 10 p.m. Please check your local listings for additional air dates.